This video is sponsored by InView.
Hi!
So nearly a year ago at this point, I asked you guys what other fantasy nonsense clothing items I should make. And one of you was like, oh my god, make a porcelain corset. And I replied, sure, okay. What's a porcelain corset? And after a quick little tap 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 on ye old modern box, I finally laid my eyes upon the garment in question. And brethren, I would be remiss if I did not tell you my eyes were greeted with the most beautiful craftsmanship I have ever witnessed. Complex molding, impeccable painted details. Simply put, the most lavish embellishments that I have ever seen on a garment. I simply must have one. So I basically immediately set out to make one of these and tried to do so in time for a Ren fair. Made most of the porcelain corset but didn't meet that deadline and wore something else, causing me to set down this project for nearly an entire year. Love that. So now we're getting this done. We're finishing it up. I've been teasing this project for long enough. This is what I'm thinking in terms of design. So if you're like, wow, that looks vaguely familiar, it's because you're one of the 74,000 eyeballs that have set their gaze on this video. Because I kind of already designed this, albeit after filming the bulk of the process of making it. Anyways, the main idea is to make a little decorative armor set inspired by porcelain corsets, with the corset itself as the main event, accompanied by some tiny bracers, a headpiece, and a neck piece that drapes with chains onto the shoulders. The whole aesthetic is very much Rococo, hyper-maximalism, but with an elfy twist because that's how I'm planning to style this costume whenever I eventually wear it at a run fair. I'm also challenging myself to work with blues and golds for this because I don't go for that combination very often. And as a side note, we aren't making the dress part today. That is a project for another time.
Whenever I want to make some kind of fantasy outfit, I normally spend a lot of time drawing and designing, but even if you aren't an artist, you can still style and design your very own fantasy avatars and use them to explore different fantasy realms, all from the comfort of your phone with this video's sponsor, InView. So recently, I've been playing this great app, InView, where you can style your own avatar, join chat rooms, meet new friends, or go shopping. Obviously, my favorite thing to do on the app is go shopping and style my avatar. I have a few different looks for my avatar so far. Some are modeled after me and my personal style. I have this gothic outfit that is pretty close to my personal style that I would 100% wear, and I actually tried to model my outfit for today after the look that I made in the app. I also have more of a fantasy version of my usual aesthetic for use in chat rooms, like this super cool dark fantasy chat room. Would also 100% wear that. But I also have other looks modeled after OCs, like my character, Rose Thornblade. I especially love this outfit because whenever I draw Rose, she's usually in armor, so it was super fun to style a softer look for her. Styled this outfit to either hang out in this adorable fantasy forest chat room or this fantasy castle chat room. And if you aren't sold already in this chat room, you can pet a Pegasus or some deer. This is what I want my house to look like. I want to live in the forest. There are countless other worlds that you can explore with just one click. Neon Lights Beach, Island Sunset Dreams. Let's look one up. Pirate. Wabam. Countless pirate chat rooms where you can go and talk like a pirate with other people who like to talk like pirates. No matter what your taste or aesthetic is, InView definitely has something for you. You can mix and match so much and really create avatars that feel personal and unique. So if you want to express yourself, escape to cool otherworldly locations, and meet new friends, you can download InView for free. Find me in the app at Kira the Alpaca and follow me. Thank you so much once again to InView for sponsoring this video. Now let's get started.
So obviously the first step was patterning, and I wanted a very specific shape, and the design was original, so I went about this in a very organic way, basically just measuring my body, drafting it out piece by piece, and cutting it down as needed. It was a very sculptural process, and I kind of miss doing things this way, because honestly, every time I pattern like this, it normally turns out good, somehow. It's not the most accurate, but I just like the freedom of it. I would compare it to draping fabrics as a dressmaker as opposed to flat patterning or block patterning as a tailor, something along those lines. pretty good progress for this evening, especially since I literally today decided, yes, I'm going to do this project, even though I hadn't really planned much. I just started sketching. So this is actually my day off, and instead of resting, this is what I did. So I've got my main breastplate here all taped together. This is sort of the base, and then I'll put all of my embellishments and my fancy pieces on top of this, probably using a lot of foam clay. Then I have these little arm cuff pieces that are going to attach with chains onto the main corset. And I want to make a neck piece, but I don't know if I have enough Warbler for that, so I'm gonna kind of just wait and see on that. Might make that out of foam instead. I might go and draw the pieces onto my Warbler and then cut them out a little bit tonight, but I think next I am going to watch a movie and eat my leftover Mexican food.
How are we doing on canned peaches?
By the end of the night, I actually got some really good progress. The whole base got assembled and was fitting well. So the next day, or whenever I next worked on this, I really don't remember, I was on to figuring out how to sculpt all the little details onto my pieces. Credit where credit is due, I cannot emphasize enough that I was pretty much fully inspired by the porcelain corsets the candy makeup artist makes. As far as I can tell from looking online, this is primarily their thing. I don't really see anyone else making these, so while mine is a fully original design, the overall styling and motifs and coloring and basically everything about it is heavily inspired by the ones that they make. This is not my thing. I would just like one. That being said, I'm 100% sure that I make mine in a completely different way that they do. Mine is not made out of porcelain. It's going to be made out of Warbler, hence the word porcelain being in quotes in the title. Porcelain is a genre, not a material. And for that, I basically just settled on these great little Amazon silicone molds. These designs are exactly what I was going for. And to fill them, I went through a couple of different ideas. The first one was to fill them with baking powder and let foam clay set in them overnight, which worked like okay, but it took entirely too long. And foam clay is also really brittle in such thin layers, so no. So after perusing the internet a little bit, I found someone else making recreation porcelain corsets who actually documented their process on ye old tube. So I poached my technique from Karina and just started filling my molds with hot glue. This was my discovery of this wonderful technique. I also used it on my Spider Queen corset, and it is actually infuriating how easy this was compared to what I was doing. So I ended up using about half foam, half hot glue on most of the pieces, and actually piecing together all of the molds on the corset was incredibly fun, so satisfying. Why do you think I keep looking for excuses to make more stuff like this? It's just fun craft time. I get to put hot glue into a little mold, and then I get to glue that onto a piece of plastic. Very sophisticated, handcrafted stuff. It's giving kindergarten craft time. It's giving put a bunch of Elmer's glue on the palm of your hand and act like it's a layer of skin. I was definitely having too much fun doing this. Finally finished all of those details, this is what it was looking like so far. For both the headpiece and neck piece, I molded an assortment of different solid pieces, and I used those mosaic rocks you put in your garden as gemstones in a lot of these. And oh, you know how I said I was going to make bracers? Well, I did. off camera, sorry. I also decorated them off camera. I decorated these too off camera. Listen, I can't help what past Kira does. She's out of control. As a peace offering, please enjoy this diagram of what the bracer pattern probably looked like. Anyways, I was now on a new day, which means it's painting time. Everything got a layer of white primer, and then I went in and hit everything with a layer of metallic gold.
Also, while I was looking around for Blick to dry them, just a little bit, like brought it up the aisle a little bit, see how it rides. The one lady was like, "Stop that."
The employees yelled at you.
Well, I mean, I guess so.
How are you supposed to buy a bike if you can't, like, test it out?
I don't know.
Then I mixed up a blue so deep and lustrous it would put any jean to shame. I've been getting death threats from Wrangler's legal department all week. I hand painted that blue base color on to make sure I had a delicate touch around all those details. Next, I mixed up some paint for the floral details, and originally I was thinking something like this, but that looked terrible. So I decided to stick to just light blue, and I began painting on some abstract floral patterns inspired by some references I found on Pinterest. This took literally my entire life. No wonder I'm posting this almost a year later. And don't even get me started on mirroring the design on both sides of the corset, and especially on the bracers. I rewatched all of Arcane while doing this for reference of how long this took. Oh my god. That wasn't even all. I also watched a lot of Seinfeld. I don't know how long this took. That being said, it was frustrating how calming I found this. Hours and hours would pass by without me noticing. And I feel like a crazy person because I can't wait to do it again. Hello there, I am Kira from nearly a year later, now with longer, blonder hair and a porcelain corset that is very nearly finished, but not quite. I, for the life of me, don't know why I didn't just finish this a year ago. We only have basically 2 things left to do. I'm gonna add some chains and beading to the bottom of this, and then finish up the jewelry and that sort of thing. Glue some beads onto the gold trim of this, and then everything just needs a clear coat so that it actually looks like a porcelain corset. I'm gonna finish this up today, so let's get going. That process began with taking the corset off the dress form, even though I just put it on there. That way I could punch some holes in it to add the chains, but I just ended up adding loops with Warbler, so that didn't really matter. Anyways, first I wanted to add some chains. The beading and chains add so much to these designs, so I wanted something that would complement mine. So I added 3 plain chains to both sides of the hips, and strung up a few beaded portions to go on the hips as well. Now, this is gonna make it very difficult to sew, baby girl. I have a needle. This is a needle, honey. Okay, thank you. 2 beaded chains to go on top and 1 in the middle. Then it was on to adding the beading details to the gold trim. I was a little on the fence about adding the beading to the trim at first, but I'm so glad I did because I think it adds so much to this piece. It also adds a lot of questionable time-lapse footage that I don't know what to do with. And speaking of not knowing what to do, oh, here's my solution. The Last of Us Season 1 has ended, and yeah, I don't know what to do now. Spoilers for The Last of Us TV show and game. I don't know what to do besides play the game, I guess, which I am doing. What an incredible season of TV. I cried every episode, I'm emotionally drained, Neil Druckmann belongs in jail, and yet I can't get enough of it, and it's definitely one of my favorite stories ever now. I didn't even make it halfway through the season before watching gameplay for the entire game, and literally like everyone else ever, it made a profound impact on me, especially since I watched Julian play it. The final 3 episodes were so faithful to the game. I loved seeing the Left Behind DLC come to life so beautifully. Storm was incredible as Riley, and Bill's performance that episode had range. They somehow made David worse in the show, as if I needed that. At least Ellie's response was proportional. At least we got a baby girl as a treat, and Cannibal Troy Baker as a treat. Wait, what? And that finale. that finale, we got the giraffe scene, something I was waiting for on the edge of my seat. We got Joel mowing down fireflies like he's a professional landscaper. We got this heart-wrenching scene that's totally unique to the show, and man, these actors can say so much with their faces. Pedro as Joel was a slam dunk. His performance blew me away. That's to be expected, but Bella. I think everyone pretty much agrees at this point, but they deserve an Emmy for their performance in this show. Absolutely outstanding. I can't wait for season 2 for our baby girl to do some war crimes. Hey, do you guys think Joel likes golf? I know I really glossed over the final few episodes, but I'd love to do a full show review at some point, if anyone cares. And if you're wondering why the diversion into The Last of Us, well, besides obvious reasons, I thought this time-lapse footage looked good, but it actually has about as much visibility as a rave at a furry convention, and I wanted to cover it up. Anyways, those are done now. For both the headpiece and neck piece, I set some hot glue in my silicone molds and painted them, both with a gemstone in the center, and from there linked them together with some chains, winging it along the way until I figured out something that looked good. Both pieces then got a passive beading so that they matched the corset, and then I attached a few sets of cascading chains to the necklace, some for decoration, and a set that attaches to the decorative arm/shoulder pieces. To finish up the headpiece, it similarly got some draping chains and some little fake earrings which attached to the bottom tier, and finally it got a passive beading as well. Once again, not that you can really see it. I've really got to get this depth of field situation figured out. Okay, now this just needs a clear coat. Hey there. Don't listen to her. Actually, I changed my mind. We're not doing a clear coat yet because I think I'm going to add a little bit more blue to this later on, just make it a little bit fancier. But this is good enough for today, which means that it's reveal time. Hi there, thank you so much for watching. I absolutely love how this came out. I know that this video was a long time coming, but I think it was worth the wait. I am thrilled and I can't wait to wear this to an actual event. I don't know what that would be. I'm thinking I'll probably wear it to the big run fair that I normally go to, so that's very exciting. Also a little nerve-inducing because this is not the easiest thing to move around in, but it's worth it. But as always, the biggest thank you goes to my patrons, especially my executive producers. You folks make stuff like this possible because Warbla is so very expensive. Eltlin, my deepest apologies. Zyel S, Shaylee, Sable Skies, The Cat Spark, Alwyn Hayes, Thea Maia, Ruled by Pluto, Agent Sketchy, Wolven_Arts, Corvid Dome, Lovisa, Eloquent Silence, In the Galaxy, Cleos, Meeks Hunter, Megan Penland, Sushi McNushi, Satoni, Mel W, Jim Jiminy, India Gloom, Hypnos, Reflings, Katie, Michael Twycross, Sweet Winter Garden, Gravity Drop, Panda Pie 365, Bobo McFo, Will Schmidt, and Bean the Bread. If you would like to become a patron and gain access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content on my videos, the link will be in the description. It's trying so hard to get settled. It's time for a lap. Look at this baby on this lap.